What's up guys, Chris, back to a brand new video, and today we're back with the series where I slows my sanity by cutting giant legacies, pop culture recreations, and remembering comes up with inside of Lego Fortnite to all that's left is straight, utter chaos. And today, you probably saw it in the thumbnail, but we are showcasing my recreation of Polar Peak inside of Lego Fortnite. And that's right, this is actually my 5th iteration of Polar Peak inside of this mode. In the past, I've made one in my original Legacy world and then recreated it again because I didn't like how the original worked. And then for my Revamped world, I created another one, and then more recently, for my destroying Lego Fortnite, like during the build limits, I made another version of Polar Peak, and I decided, why not make a version of Polar Peak for my Legacy Revamped world that's like the proper POI, which has been something I've been wanting to do since the start of the season. I've just been very busy with school up till now, and I thought today would be probably the best time to do it since it's very close to the end of the season. So with that being said, let's just jump into this tour and just talk about the build real quick, which is saying this video could have been doomed really quickly as it did actually pull a Titanic earlier in the week. I was trying to mess with a simple thing that was broken about this build, which is the fact that the build limit kicked in and I could not finish the sides of the build. So as you see here, the iceberg effect, it goes around up to here and up to here, and there's a few things I was trying to get this to be fixed, which is pulling some buildings and bringing them over here, which did not work exactly the way I wanted to, unless I want to bring multiple buildings, which is something I might be considering to do. And then I was considering adding some extra bits of decor, like a destroyed ship, and then adding another ship, which is that ship over there. I did actually provide that guy right here, which destroyed this piece of support by accident, and instead of a ship falling to an iceberg, it's an iceberg being destroyed by a ship. It is a reverse psychology how it's supposed to work, but hey, it happened. But the build itself was a lot of fun to put together, as I tried to make it as accurate as I could to the original POI, with some alterations, of course. And there's a lot of things here where I'm seeing the second canon appearance of the build in my Lego City series, which is when the Empire took control. And as you know, Ice King kind of recently just took over again. So with that being said, let's just jump right in. Let's just talk about all the references and Easter eggs. At the front gate here is as accurate as it could be to the original game of Chapter 1, Season 7, I mean. God. And we have these front things here, which is where the stormtroopers kind of took control of, and of course they're starting to move these little block barricades, barriers, and fronts to the sides as the Guards King gods are slowly rebuilding, which there's a lot of cool building things I used here to make the piles of snow up to the buildway. Of course, you get the iceberg effect that's represented by the Palm Paradise walls, as you can see here, which looks absolutely wonderful. And then you walk all the way up here to see the castle itself, which we'll get to any minute as I continue discussing the rest of the build. As you see, you have some more stuff going on right about there with more building effects being used, which looks absolutely nice. And then you can go this way to see more of the front gate, which we'll just go toward front gate a bit because they are pretty much identical to how it was in Chapter 1, Season 7, lacking any decor, however, because my main focus was obviously the castle, and I knew there was a good chance the build alone was going to struck with this whole build, if I'm being brutally honest. And the cool thing about this area, which I'm going to just talk about as we continue going, is I wanted it to be in the Mascot City area, so you get some cool views like this, where you have like GCPD over there, and then you have like Wayne Tower inside over there. And then what I'm planning on doing, I was originally going to plan on doing this before I went on break, was going to make another Legacy video with Into the Pit being over there in a destroyed part of the city, kind of add some storytelling with like the Team Rocket building being in the water, which I'm planning on doing eventually, to add more effect, like showing that the Ice King just like roomed his way through here and he's trying to go to the side of the island of the city for some reason because he's after something. What exactly after? Honestly, I have no clue yet. I haven't really thought that far into the storyline, but that's something that is kind of being told here through the story of the build. Over here, we have normally where the Infinity Blade would be, which is pretty cool, and I am representing the Infinity Blade by this cool banner from the Diego Domain Gallery, which looks really cool. And of course, you got stuff from Ramiro City, and then you got the Mos Eisley Gallery fences being used here, alongside the First Order fences for the sides, and then the flooring from the Raven Roost Gallery being used here as well. And the same effects being used here for where the trees would normally go inside Polar Peak. We did not have enough memory for that, nor did we have enough memory to add the village houses that normally are also in Polar Peak. So with that being said, we're starting off with the main castle itself, which is a lot of fun to put together. I just want to say that real quick, as it's actually a bit of a combination of the creative prefab and the actual build. And you're probably wondering why I did that. Honestly, if I'm being real, it's because I need reference images specifically for the sides back here. And when I try to look up tour videos, it's very hard for me to like see every single detail on this thing. So I had to go into creative mode, and then I went like when I got down to the lower layers of Polar Peak, because yes, I did make the lower layers of Polar Peaks. That's why I make these big structures like this, so I can actually make like an underground section. I didn't realize. It's been a while since chapter 1, season 7, guys. But everything does look really good. So first off, the banners themselves are being used with a combination of the First Order gallery to make the fences here, and then of course the banner itself, which is being used out of the Previous City and Daft Punk galleries, which are really cool. So a fun fact about the build real quick is actually to reference to its last appearance. There's a lot of like Star Wars references, as I mentioned before, and a part of that's being implemented into the build. As you see here, it's using the corner pieces from the Imperial Survival Gallery, which you can unlock by doing the Star Wars quest from Wave 1 of the Star Wars events all the way back in 2024. And then other cool Easter eggs you can find on the build, which I really like, is there's a giant banner up here. And then you probably noticed this with the fence back there, as I'm using these crate pieces as a representation of the wooden logs that you can see inside of Polar Peak. If I can actually find it, where is this thing? Where are you, man? It's from the Inchago Island Gallery, and it looks really nice, if you ask me. Just seriously, like, that looks really cool. But my favorite detail of this, if I'm gonna be really honest with you guys, is actually these spikes here using the Oni gallery. And for anyone wondering how I pulled this trick up here, was actually by putting the pieces upside down by utilizing the thruster, which can let you do a lot of things. And if you don't know, if you have a piece like a thruster going like this, you can have the builds go upside down, and if you combine that with the like front upside pieces of the build, you get this cool effect, which I absolutely adore. Like, seriously, oh, it's just beautiful. I love it so freaking much. But with that being said, I think it's about time for us to go into the actual castle. So going inside, you have the first room here, which looks absolutely amazing, and of course you have these cool like windows being represented by fences. And one of my favorite things, though, I will say, is like definitely like the lighting. Like, I have this build at the perfect angle because you get stuff like this with the ray tracing, which looks amazing. And you can go into the room here, which gives us multiple options to go to. And I think the first part is probably starting with the room that I probably spent the most time inside this build, which is actually the throne room. Surprisingly, I spent way too much time in here. And there's a lot of reason why. There's a few differences. Like, normally it's supposed to be a window here, that got cut. And there's cool some Easter eggs, like a piece here showcasing that Ice King did fight Garmadon, and a thing here showcasing that he did fight a version of Darth Vader, which makes sense because he had to take control back of his castle. Over here you have a bunch of Imperial stuff and a bunch of different stuff going on here. And once again, the upside down trick is being used for making these parts here, because normally if you go into the Majestic Manners Gallery, this is actually the way the wall is supposed to look. Is if you go all the way down here, it looks something like this. And I'm using the upside down trick again to kind of make this like arch effect, which looks really cool. And we have the Ice King's throne room itself, which once again is actually using a thruster trick to make the flooring go sideways to give off this effect from the original build, which looks absolutely nice. And of course you got shortened versions of the banner and using Dr. Doom's thrones for Ice King, which looks absolutely snazzy. Going this way, though, you can find more stuff going on, like more stuff. But going forward, I think it's probably smart to go back this way and going probably upstairs, as there's a bit of things to look at. So going upstairs, you can find cool things like this here, back in the throne room, which is where these doors actually lead to. And you can go all the way up here to find where the changes do start to begin. So the first change here is another trophy room for Ice King, where you have a bunch of stuff here like Daft Punk, then you have an Imperial sign, then you have a battle bus, then you have this weird thing here, which we can say probably is either a combination of Firefly or Beetle or Shocker. And then of course you have this other Oni mask from Daigo's domain, making it look like they did fight Daigo at one point. Going this way, we have the actual library from Polar Peak, which is as accurate as I could make it from Chapter 1, Season 7, which looks absolutely nice. And you can, once again, from like in the original season, you can go all the way up here. Over here, I have another change where Ice King does actually just have a bunch of the Empire stuff just locked in key. Because if you have all this tech, why not use it? They took over his castle, brought all this stuff here. He's utilizing it for himself. Makes sense. Then you have a door going up here, which you can get this amazing view of how everything looks at night. You get a view of Wayne Tower, you get a look at GCPD, and all the other cool builds inside of New Mascot City currently, which looks absolutely amazing. But then you can go all the way up here to find even more stuff, which is, of course, this whole thing with a bunch of stuff representing Samurai X, the iconic classes, which has not been making as much appearances in the series, but normally is a recurring Easter egg, which I try to put in every single episode. I just kind of got sidetracked the last few ones. And of course, the statue here for the name is like crossing my mind currently. It's actually bugging me because I know who it is. It's just like it's not in my mind currently. So I'm actually gonna pull this up. It's Aaron's armor. Yeah, okay, Aaron's armor. Perfect. And then we have more stuff like this little thing going on here with like a map and stuff and blueprints. And you can go up even further. I'm getting sidetracked. Look at this cool fireplace design. You're gonna see it again later, but like, dude, I'm a sucker for fireplaces, and like, I love how this like turned out. But going up this way, we can actually go all the way up here and see the actual entranceway of Polar Peak if you're gliding down, which I have so many fond memories of just like doing this back in chapter 1. Seriously, like this would be like, it would be so crowded with people coming down here, but like, yeah, I love this POI, man. I love this POI. But going downstairs, we can explore even more stuff as we enter the basement where freaking Springtrap will lure you down to. As we go down here, we can find even more stuff. If you go this way, you can actually get the way over here. We can get to this balcony, which looks pretty cool. Then you can go all the way this way to find yourselves over here, which is this cool little area, which we're going to go down in Sanity, where you see the meeting room. But if we can go this way, go here, then we can go all the way back down here, and then we can also find another exit, which is like right by here, which leads this way, which we'll get to in a minute. I'm going to give you all like the different looks and POIs of this build, but you can go all the way back up here and see this, and you can go all the way up here, which leads to the Ice King's prom room, which is pretty cool. So everything is interconnected like it was in the original build, or the created prefab matters up to your choice. But now that we're actually over here, we can go all the way down to explore the meeting room, which looks absolutely amazing once again. So you have a bunch of stuff going on here, like the banners, which once again are using the Ramirez City and the Daft Punk design. And then you have the another fireplace, which is a slightly different version than the one you saw. Mostly the same, but it's slightly different, which looks pretty cool. And then you can go ahead and take this route this way on both sides, which leads you back to the exit, which is pretty cool. And then going this way, we can actually go all the way downstairs to the basement, which looks pretty cool. As you see, you got the fences going on up here. Then you can go all the way down here, going this way, and then going this way to find the vault, which over here normally in the original chapters where you would go up to the top. But I used the creative prefab as most of my reference images for this build, so that was an error on my part. Going this way, we have another room, which is just, they're both filled pretty much with like Empire stuff, so this is pretty much where like Ice King just stores a bunch of the Imperial stuff after you took his castle back. And you got another cool banner, which was not in the original build, but I just wanted to add some pizzazz. Going downstairs though, you can actually have a lot of cool stuff going on here, which is a bunch of these cells, more Imperial stuff being added. Pretty cool, like the Emperor's chair being back here, which was the original throne for a bit inside this build. This is where the prisoner would be, and it seems Ice King did have a prisoner here, whether or not it was the Fire King or the prisoner, or if it was someone Star Wars related, who knows, or someone else that's much worse. That's up for future lore crystals to figure out. But more stuff going on here, like cells, and then you go over here to find a cool Easter egg of my boy Kevin the Cube, because he was part of the reason why the Ice King is here. He was partially the part of the reason, kind of, somewhat. He appeared after Kevin blew up, so that's a cool little Easter egg to Kevin the Cube that I wanted to include in this build. But going up here, you can have another cool thing going on, which is doing this way. You can find a bunch of the Ice King's trophies, like this little thing here referencing Iron Man, this Raven referencing the Doctor Doom build I made last year, and this lightsaber referencing Dolph or Emperor, or whoever you want to say references. Then going this way, you have this cool little golden container. Then you have this cool little thing here, and this little chest here. And then, of course, you got these amazing tapes, which totally may reference a certain yellow bunny, which we may be making a version of that pizzeria when I come back from break. Maybe. And then going this way, you have a ship referencing the Fire Septus 1 Season 8. Then you have the Storm King Blade. And then you have a bonsai tree, referencing my current Lego Batman playthrough, which I'm having an absolutely blast with. But that's pretty much it for the basement, besides just saying you can actually go, like in the original build, outside here to find this. I know, pretty cool, right? Look at that. You can go outside, and it's actually one part of the build that's completely covered, which is really nice. Then going this way, you can go all the way back upstairs, And basically say that's all of the build. I know, it's really exciting. That's pretty much the entire build, which is pretty cool. And this build took a lot of time to make and was an absolute blast to put together. Once again, I'm a huge fan of Polar Peak. There was a lot of cool like tricks and techniques that were used for this build, and I did mention some of them. And a lot of the flooring pieces here were definitely used a lot. And overall, though, this build was an absolute blast to put together. Like I said, like Polar Peak is honestly my favorite POI from Chapter 1, Season 7. And basically, Chapter 1 in general, Polar Peak is like kind of the standout POI for me. I just love it as much. And that's why kind of Ice King is my favorite lore character. And I'm so sad. And I'm really rooting for him. I don't want him to leave again. I don't want to wait another 4 years for his return. But I really hope you guys did enjoy this build, as it was a fun one for my side of things. And I do have some funny clips from this build. Was like, I do have some screenshots of it pulling a Titanic when it sunk, and then when it like restored when this NPC just like walked off the cliff for some reason. There's a lot of funny stuff that happened during my recording sessions, and overall this thing was an amazing like blast to put together, and I really hope you guys did enjoy it as much as I did. And if you have any suggestions for what you guys want to see next in the series, definitely let me know down in the comments below, as I did tease that we're going to be working on 2 FNAF locations, which are going to be Into the Pits and Help Wanted very soon. I think Help Wanted is possibly going to be the next one. And then after that, it's probably gonna be like Mario, like Peach Castle, Bowser's Castle. Then I'm gonna move on to Into the Pit, and then after that, it's pretty much whatever the heck I decide, as that's currently what I do have planned for the series. Currently outside of Arkham Asylum, which is something I really want to get done around October, which I think would be really cool. But yeah, with that being said, I do hope you guys did enjoy this build. If you did, definitely consider leaving a like, as it does help the channel a lot and help boost us in the almighty algorithm. And of course, the Ice Dragon has made his appearance known. Pretty cool if you ask me. But also, if you're new here and you're really listening so far, definitely subscribe so you don't miss out on more Lego content just like this. If you don't know, I make a lot of Lego Fortnite content here on the channel, and even more in the future, especially as I'm on break currently, and I'm basically having my most tame semester next semester for school. So my upload schedule is pretty much back to normal, and I get to do a lot of cool videos like this, as I'm really passionate about the series. And then, of course, we're also doing my Lego Batman Legacy of Dark Knight playthrough as well, which is really fun. I'm really enjoying it, especially my recent edit like I did in the last episode. I'm not posting it here. Maybe. But yeah, with that being said, I do hope you guys did enjoy this one, and most importantly, that you all have a spectacular day, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, everyone.